Here are 30 themes you can work from for an end of the year party. Some of these are more appropriate for younger children, while others are geared more towards your teen. Welcome to Epic Mom Life. I am your host, Kara Peterson. This show is sponsored by The Possum's Tale, a unique book adventure for your 6 to 12-year-old child. Let's jump into today's show. It is the grand farewell, and we are going to make your child's end of the year party unforgettable. We all like to feel there is an end to a goal that we have reached. We all like to feel like there is an end to a goal and that we have reached some kind of achievement when we got to the end of that goal. Children are no different. Each school year marks a goal. They will accomplish specific tasks within that level or grade to be able to move on to the next. Your child anticipates the culmination of this goal. I have a separate vlog on goal setting with the links in the notes. Whether your child attends a traditional school or embarks on a homeschooling journey, crafting an unforgettable end of the school year party is a delightful opportunity to create lasting memories and celebrate the achievements of the past year. I'm going to help you plan this amazing end of the school party with 30 fun themes. There are several steps I'm going to list and kind of skim over, not because they aren't important, but because I go into them fully in how to host a kids clothing swap and how to start a recipe club, and both those links are in the notes. What I want to dive deeply into is the fun of theme, decorations, and activities, but I'm really concentrating on themes. I love to integrate my curriculum. Children really benefit from this. I have a link to integrated curriculum as well. And just like a well-integrated curriculum, a theme party, which is an integrated party, is memorable, loved, and your guests have a fabulous time. Basic steps to get started for your party. Plan the event, determine the date, time, and location, guest list and invitations, and this is actually trickier than you think. For example, one of those little things that are going to come up is, if you go to a traditional school, are you going to invite the whole class? Send the invitations via email, but does everyone open the email? So this is another one of those little sticky things you're going to have to think about. You also need to be able to give everyone enough time to plan to attend. Food and beverages. These can also definitely be incorporated in the theme, and this is a lot of fun. And in some cases, the food can be part of the activities. But what you need to keep in mind is where there are kids, there definitely needs to be food. These are all things that most of us can do almost without thinking, because these are all things that we have to do whenever we're planning any kinds of event, like even a sleepover for the kids. You just simply need to cater these steps towards your audience. Children. Now, if their parents are also coming, you will need to take that into consideration. Keep in mind, this end of the year party is for your child, but that doesn't get them off the hook as far as planning and helping to prepare. In fact, most children will love to have a hand in helping to prepare their party. Those invitations that are being sent out, let your child choose one from like a Evite program or some kind of free email program and put them in charge of the list of people who've opened, confirmed, or have said they will not be able to make it. Now we're going to move into the fun part. The let's make it a party instead of an everyday get together. Themes are fun. Adults love them as much as children. If you have a theme for your end of the year bash other than the obvious end of the year, the kids get excited. They start to look forward to what the party will include. This puts more pressure on you. I do know that. However, it also kind of makes it easier because you have specific parameters to work within. You don't have to walk into a party store or Target or get on Amazon and search for party and get tons of color choices and tons of ideas and decor, all of that. You're just looking for one category. If your brain works anything like mine, you will want a list of themes, because then what you can do is you can go through the themes and you can see which ones you like and which ones work with your child and which ones work with what you have and your house or the time of year or anything like that. And then you can choose the theme and then work with your decorations, your activities, and possibly your food and beverages after you know the theme. So here are 30 themes you can work from for an end of the year party. Some of these are more appropriate for younger children, while others are geared more towards your teen. Adventure Quest, Amazing Race, Around the World, Board Game Bash, Camp Out, Carnival, Circus, Dinosaur, Disney, Enchanted Forest, Graffiti Party, Hawaiian or Beach Luau, Masquerade, Medieval Madness, Memories, Minecraft, Mythical Creatures, Neon Party, Outdoor Movie Night, Outer Space, Pajama Party, Pirates, Quite a Character, Retro Party, Safari Adventure, Sport, Superheroes, Talent Show, Under the Sea, Wild West. These are some fun themes. Once you have chosen a theme, have your limitations. Once you have chosen a theme, you have limitations that actually allow your creativity to go wild. So by putting those parameters down, now you almost can be unlimited in what you're thinking. Whereas if you start without the theme and you try to be creative and unlimited in your thinking, you just get so much information. I have chosen 2 of the themes from above that I feel are either more difficult or that you might not quite know what they are, to show you how this can all work when you blend everything together. Memories is a more sentimental theme and party. So first we will decorate, so when people get to your home or wherever the place is that you're going to be hosting this, they can tell it is festive. Choose your colors. I like to go with 3. 2 that are bold or striking and 1 that is fairly neutral. Are you going to use streamers, balloons, ceiling decoration, table placards, etc.? Activities that are fun that can go with this event. The really big one that would take a lot of preparation, but that I think is almost critical with this theme, is to ask parents to send in pictures from this year, not their whole life, just this year, that have the children and the children enjoying themselves or doing fun things or whatever, especially if they're together with other friends that are at the party, and prepare a slideshow of the current year. You will really need to make sure that every single child is represented, because while you might not be noticing, the kids will always notice. Paint rocks. These can be sentimental, funny, rocks they leave for strangers, or they can give these rocks to each other. This can actually be the souvenir gift that they all take from the party. Memory jars. These are amazing to read later. I actually did an event as an adult for the city. It was a city event and it lasted 10 months. So we really got to know these people that were, I think there were 30 of us in this group. And at the end, it was like a memory bag, but we all wrote notes about the other people in the group and we put them in their bag. And I still keep my bag. And this was from, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, because it's really nice to be able to read what other people had written. So each child decorates a jar of some kind. The decorating can be as sophisticated as the child is old. I love the tissue paper or string art mason jars. Then on pre-cut pieces of paper, you can have hearts or flowers or just strips of paper, whatever you want. The children write a special memory or a special thought that they have of each person, individual person, and they put it in that person's jar to make that person have a better day. And again, it isn't nice, but it has to be said. Sometimes kids can be cruel. So if you feel your group needs a reminder, you will have to be the one to give it. Special frame. There are a million types of photo frames out on Pinterest or Google that you can make. Choose one of these, and you can choose this that goes with the theme. And so your theme might be memory, But if you are incorporating a memory that has like certain colors and they look beachy, like you use teal and navy, you could do like things also. You could incorporate different themes within that. A special moment from this year that each child has. It is even better if you are either able to take a picture at the party. So this is nostalgia that they can then have later. So they can create the frame. You can take the pictures at the party, like you can have a photo booth. You can have them developed and then sent later. Or they can bring the photo with them. I love the idea of having a selfie station. T-shirt memories. Have each child bring a clean, pre-washed white t-shirt. And then you're going to write each child's name, like in that fun puffy ink, on the t-shirt. And then on each t-shirt, they have the t-shirts laid out, and then you'll have each child's name on their t-shirt. So everybody knows whose t-shirt it is. And then each child will go through and they'll get ink on their hand and they'll put their handprint on it. And then they can pick different colors of ink for their hand and for the puffy, and then they'll write their name by their handprint. Awards. So this is awards from the parents. You can also do awards from the kiddos, but these are special awards. Like these can be funny or they can be serious, but they can also be ones that aren't necessarily academic. Like they can be reasons why the parent is really proud of their child that year. But one reason might be because the parent had dealt with siblings fighting a lot. And this year, this child has really come a long way to being a really great sibling. And they could have gotten an amazing sibling award. The awards can be all kinds of different things. Games or activities that get the kiddos moving could be more of the generic variety, because I had trouble finding a whole bunch of things on the internet that went with memories that were active. Oddly enough, a lot of your tag game, like cartoon tag or character tag, those kind of things, rely on memory if you can't repeat ones that are previously done. So if you start going down the list of games but that you can't do if one's been repeated, you can find some games that you can do that way. If you're doing sentimental, you could all do some kind of volunteer project that day together. You can also have parents bring their calendar. So all of the parents that are coming, while the kiddos are off doing something, the parents can get together, and if you do leave and learn, and I'll have a link to the homeschool summer routine, so I can explain the leave and learns in that. You can get together and you can establish some leave and learn days and ideas that you all have together. So you get the idea how we incorporated things together? I was able to plan that party and get some great ideas for it in 45 minutes. And I am not a party planner. I would really love to get invited, my kid get invited to an end of the year party and not have to plan the party. And the only reason I was able to pull all of that together within 45 minutes was because I had some parameters, which was the theme. If it was all open, it would have been too hard. Now here's another one. And actually this one I was able to plan in 20 minutes. One, because I'd done the other party, so I'd already kind of been on that loop. But two, because this one was of much higher interest. I'm really not in the touchy-feely vibe. So this one was easier for me. Quite a character is the theme. So what exactly does that mean? Children come dressed as their favorite storybook character. So of course I love this one. Since it is a party for my child, I'm going to decorate according to the book that my child chose the character from, because I like parameters. So I don't want to do any book character. That would be too open-minded. So let's say that my son chose Charlie from The Big 1-0 by Dean Pritchard. This is a really fun book, and it's going to be a great one to decorate in. I'm going to decorate in the color sky blue and red, with cream being my undertone. I'm going to use balloons and streamers just as my base thing. And the book has a lot of unexpected. So I'm going to have balloons tacked to the ceiling instead of like in your typical pretty little things. And I'm going to have fake worms if I can find them. eyeballs, maybe some fingers. If you've read the book, you would totally understand. So I'm going to totally decorate it up and have it be kind of a funny thing like that. For activities, there's going to be a fashion show, of course. Anytime you have children dressing up, you've got to have a fashion show. And you're going to let them explain their outfit. And if they want to do, like if you want to have an MC and they send in cards that announce who they are and their outfit. And, you know, Katniss is wearing her sneak into the forest garb. And then she can have, you know, and over her shoulder, she has her, you know, bag and, you know, because it was illegal for her to do that, she could have her bootlegging bag or, I mean, all kinds of things. And she could be doing her turns and everything in front of everybody, but you could make this a lot of fun. An activity that also comes to mind immediately is a book swap. Each child could come to the party with their favorite book. It would be a used book. It doesn't have to be a new, but then you could swap with others. So you could have the book lined up and everybody could go and grab a new book. That's really heavy in quotations. So they all go home with a book. And that could be your souvenir for this party. This would, continue the story. If you have a bunch of literary mind kiddos, usually I don't know that I have a bunch of literary minded kiddos, but if you do, before they swap their books, have them all get to a place in the book that has a really dramatic moment, or it's a cliffhanger, or it's super funny. And then you start a notebook, and each person writes a sentence from that moment, and then the next person continues it from their moment in that book, and you each keep going around, and then at the end you read, and then you could write kind of like a conclusion or an intro or something, just one sentence to intro it, one sentence to conclude it, and then you guys could all read the amazing thing that just happened in all the books. I Spy. Have objects in the room, a yard, or wherever, but they have to be in a certain area where everybody can be hanging out. You just need to plan ahead. And these can all be items that you have placed in advance that are themed. And it can be a lot of fun with children who are upper elementary if you learn what the books are from the parents, so that you can quickly go through those books or look online, a description of them, look at the covers, whatever, so you can kind of get ideas. Or you can ask the parents if they know the books. So you can get objects from all of the kids' books. So you can kind of bring the other kids' characters or books into it as well. So then you hand out cards to each child. And so each child, and all of the cards are different, and each child, and then a picture of that item, so that each child says, I buy a magnifying glass. Or no, not a magnifying. Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, a magnifying glass or whatever. However, I spy something red. That's right. I spy something red and da-da-da-da-da, and you go through it. And it turns out people are like, oh, it's the magnifying glass in the corner. So, okay, then we get to murder. This is probably my favorite activity of all time. My middle school students, I don't know if you know middle school students. I actually specialized in this age group, and I love this age group. But sometimes it could be a little hard to get them really excited about prepositional phrases and appositives. I was pretty good at it, but it could be hard. So I could almost always teach almost anything, and most of my kiddos would give me pretty good attention if I promised that if we had extra time, there could be a murder. And kid you not, they would try to zip through that work so that there could be a murder that day. And we probably averaged a murder every 2 weeks in my classroom. Who wouldn't be intrigued? So what happened? The children sit in a circle, and you somehow choose one person to be the murderer. In my classroom, I would always choose somebody in, like, coming and going in or out of the classroom. And I would say, if we get to play murder this week, you're going to be the murderer, but you need to make sure that you don't tell anybody. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah. And I would talk to another person. I would say, if we have a murderer, I've already chosen the murderer. But if that person's absent, I will let you know by coming around and giving you a squeeze on your hand and let you know that you are the backup. And if that person does get to be the murderer, just know you're going to be able to be the murderer next time, because otherwise they're just crushed if they don't get to be the murderer. It's that big of a deal. So it's not hard. Like if your kids want to keep playing this, like my kids would be playing this like for an hour and a half if they could. After the first game, you don't have to establish who the murderer is, because the person who correctly identifies the murderer in the first game gets to be the murderer in the second game or the next game. You can go around, if you're trying to figure out how in the earth you're going to figure out who the murderer is. If you can get somebody coming and going or whatever and just say, we're going to end up having this really fun game of murder, and I'm going to end up having to have a murderer and nobody can know who it is and it's going to be you. You can identify somebody that way, because if it's your child, everybody will guess that. So it can't be your kid. Or you can go around and just like touch everybody on the back, for example, with one finger. But if someone feels 2 fingers, they'll know they're the murderer. But you just have to make sure that nobody sees, nobody hears, nobody can know who the murderer is. That's the key part. So the key things, you have to be able to establish a murderer and nobody can know who it is. So you're going to say, we are going to play a game. Oh, how the game starts is the children can talk in the circle, or you can have music in the background. So kids are all sitting in a circle and they're just looking at each other, having a conversation. You can be leading the conversation, whatever's happening, but the murderer is going to be very sly and they are going to wink at somebody. And that person gets to use their dramatic effect and they're going to die. So whether they just go like this, whether they do a, or whether they just, and then they'll turn their chair, right? So after they have their dramatic moment, they can turn their chair or they can continue to watch. But it has to be very obvious that they are dead, because the murderer might not remember all of the people that they have killed. So it has to be obvious that they have died. That person dies, and then the murderer continues to kill more people until they're caught. So why did I choose this game? 1, super high interest level. And 2, murder mysteries are a book genre. So that's how I picked that game for this theme. Scavenger hunt. This also works incredibly well if you've been able to talk to parents about their items, about their books, or if the kids have all read the same book that year. So in a traditional classroom setting in the schools, oftentimes, like I taught 6th grade, I taught 6th, 7th, and 8th. And in 6th grade, all of the kids read, they all read Castle in the Attic. So I could choose things or items from the book Castle in the Attic and have those hidden, and then they'd be listed and that would be what would be found. And then it's just kind of fun and it pertains to the book. So I'm keeping the book as the theme in here, but you can do any kind of thing, right? And so you can have the scavenger hunt be the kind of scavenger hunt where it's at your house and they have to go find it. Or you can have the good old fashioned kind where you go to neighbors' homes to hunt, although you will want to warn your neighbors ahead of time that the kids are going to come a-knocking. So you can do it in all different manners. You can also do it with a movie that the kids have most likely seen that year. So there's all kinds of different ways, but the reality is, in the end, most children will be able to, or should be able to, identify every single thing on that list. Flower pots. If you have a crafty group, you can have a menagerie of supplies and different pots to decorate. Children can make a flower pot based on their characters, or they can just make a pot for fun. Invisible ink. Every child will be interested in being able to send secret messages. This is just part of their nature. Most kids like anything that their parents can't see or know about. This may take a little more time, but it is also a great way to end the year learning something fascinating, because this is actually a science thing. There are a bunch of ways to do this on the internet, so just take a peek. Pencil toppers. Somebody had to write your character. You can find pencil toppers all over for any kind of occasion or skill. The Quite a Character Party, like I said, only took me 20 minutes to find all of those things and think up all of those things, because this is totally my jam. This is the thing I love. The memories took me double that because, 1, it was my first, and it's just harder for me to come up with the gushy, mushy stuff. The point is, once you have a theme, The rest of the really exciting and memorable part of the party kind of works itself out. As the school year draws to a close, let's celebrate the remarkable journey your child has undertaken. Whether they've navigated the halls of a traditional school or enjoyed a homeschooling adventure, this end of the year school party is a joyous party. This end of the school party is a joyous occasion to celebrate the end of one year, the beginning of another, and create lasting memories. These 30 themes will help you narrow your focus so you can broaden your creativity and plan a celebration filled with laughter and fun activities. The movie quote this week: "They're happy, it's too loud." Benjamin Mee in We Bought a Zoo. If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, I want to send you a huge thank you. Please leave me a comment or review and share with other moms you know. Get in touch in the comments or on Kara's social media networks.